Hi, everybody. This is Chris Bayaki with Resolute Philanthropy, bringing you another episode of Try This First, my occasional video series where I sit down with my friends and colleagues in the nonprofit space and we tackle different topics, all with the idea of how should someone get started? And so often we hold back in getting something started because we want something to be perfect, or we want to have the right number of staff, or the right amount of donors, or this or that. And the reality is, it's so hard to get this work done. You've got to get started. And so we ask the question, what should you try first? And today I'm talking with Kevin Mahler. And Kevin is from Omaha. He's a nonprofit consultant. He's got a great background in the nonprofit space. Kevin and I met over LinkedIn and have been LinkedIn collaborators and friends. And this is one of our first kind of in-depth conversations. And what prompted this is Kevin and I were having a conversation about corporate giving and about different ways you could use events and gatherings to kind of build a sense of community in your nonprofit space. And we decided to kind of move that conversation out of email and out of one-on-one stuff and record it here for Try This First, because I think there's a lot of great things that Kevin's got working on, and I love hearing from him. So, Kevin, over to you. People are thinking about corporate giving. People are thinking about the importance of building a community. What should they try first?
Yeah, Chris, it's great to be with you today. Thank you for asking me this question, and thanks for having me as part of this conversation. The idea that I want to put forth to everyone who's watching this video today is the anti-small talk event. And this is a way of acting as a convener and building your donor pipeline that way. So that may sound a little bit jargony to you, but just think of the anti-small talk event.
Okay.
That's what I want to talk to you about, because this message is for people who you don't know where your revenue is going to be coming from. If you've maxed out on the grants that are available to you, if you've maxed out on what your board is able to do for you and what private individuals can do, that leaves the category of what is often referred to as corporate giving.
Mhm.
But as we think about corporate giving, we tend to think about only Fortune 500 companies or the biggest companies in our given geography.
Right.
But I want to put forth an idea today that allows you to build a community of shared purpose among donors through their professional lenses, through their mid-sized businesses, their healthy small businesses, where there is generosity, where there's um, money to spare, but it may not have the big Fortune 500 distinction.
Okay. Okay.
So what is an anti-small talk event? An anti-small talk event is an event where the guests are the stars and where the nonprofit leader acts as a host. And you get together for 75 minutes, 90 minutes, and the host asks a few leading questions and encourages people to talk amongst themselves. But the guests are there kind of in their professional capacity. So you're inviting business owners, you're inviting decision makers at businesses in your community, and you're asking them questions about a shared subject matter that is relevant to your nonprofit.
Okay.
So, for instance, you are a animal shelter or you're a community choir. Let's take those two. Let's take community
Okay.
choir first. You're a
Okay.
community
Yeah.
choir and you've applied for all the grants that you can possibly apply for, and half of them declined you. And your board is humble people and they support you as much as they can, but it's still not meeting what you need to produce the choir season that you need. So what you know about is singing. What you know about is vocal music, the choral arts. So you say to yourself, I'm going to be if I can be seen as a community leader or a thought leader or the voice for vocal arts in my
Hmm.
community, then that's going to give me some credibility. That's going to give me some warm feelings among people in this community that are actually making money off of the vocal arts. And yes, there are people out there who are doing that. So you're saying, who is a professional in the vocal arts? Who cares about the vocal arts in um, in their professional life? Okay, so I'll invite the professors. I'll invite the music store person. I'll invite the retired person who was kind of a star singer who has retired to my community. I'm going to bring everyone together who cares about singing and who's kind of making money or hedging their professional identity on the concept of singing. And we're going to get together in a room and we're going to talk about singing. We're going to talk about what is singing in our community, what's the future of singing in our community, and you can think of 3 other exciting questions. And maybe you do this early in the morning, and
Hmm.
the key is you want to charge a high admission price, call it a fundraiser, not an exclusive price, but for a breakfast, you're charging $50. For a lunch, $100. And then if you need to do an after hour cocktail kind of thing, consider it around $75 to $100 or more, depending on where you live.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit high, but it's achievable or affordable, I should say. And you call it a fundraiser, but you're also promising you're going to get a little value out of this. It's going to be networking, but it's going to be focused networking. It's going to be, we're all going to talk about our common shared
About the
interests.
cause. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's vocal arts, maybe it's autism, maybe it's a particular breed of animal that you're rescuing. And um, so you introduce, you host, you give them the questions, they mingle, they talk amongst themselves. And then at the end, you, the host, say, yes, ding, ding, ding on your cup. I would like to call everyone back together. If you can hang out for 10 more minutes, we're going to go around the room and we're going to say, what did you learn today? And we're going to go quickly. Everyone gets to say one thing they learned today, one person they talked to.
Ooh, I love that.
And then, thank you very much. Grab a brochure on your way out. Goodbye. So, beginning, a middle, and an end. In the beginning, you're talking a little bit about yourself and talking about how we're all a community and we all care about this one topic in our community, and we're going to see it from different lenses. The middle is you're going to mingle with each other and you're going to talk unscripted, bounce around the room, and see who you meet, see who you can help, see who can help you, who can you do business with. And then at the end, we have a moment of reflection of something actually happened today.
Yeah.
We all actually learned something today. And when I hear about what other people are learning, I'm like, wow, I kind of wish I had that conversation. Maybe I should come to another one of these when they do this in a month or 6 months, and maybe I'll have more to learn. How exciting. So in the short term, you make a couple $1,000s for your cause. Yay. But also, you build a community
Yeah.
of shared purpose.
Yes.
And as we know, this is what the leading voices in philanthropy are telling us. The leading voices in fundraising are telling us about good fundraising,
Yeah.
authentic fundraising, sustainable fundraising. Um, so long term, you are getting people who think fondly of you, people who see you as a leader, people who might be receptive to a conversation about how they can support your organization in a more substantial way.
Right. Right. I love this idea, and what occurred to me in your description of it today is it really echoes conversations I've had with clients about donor discovery, right? When nonprofits are often thinking about donor discovery, they're thinking like, well, who's the richest person I could find? And how can I ask them for money? What's the biggest company I could find and ask them for money? But what I tell my clients and what this event model really does is it front loads the cause.
Yeah,
It's not about, like you said, it's not about the biggest company in your town and asking them. It's looking
exactly.
for the companies or the organizations that have a vested interest in your cause. Whatever that cause is, there's people that care about it, that are connected to it, either from a business point of view or a social responsibility point of view, and it's letting that lead your invitation strategy. I think that's a great idea. And I also love the idea that it's not a nonprofit lecture. It's not the nonprofit is not speaking for the entire duration of the breakfast. It sounds like it's maybe the opening and the closing, and the rest of the time, the room is driving its own conversation.
Right. And that's what I really got tired of with events. Um, either it's in a traditional event, um, there's a sender and a message and a receiver, and it's really flat. And the sender is whoever's on stage or whoever's on the video.
Hmm.
You're, and everyone else is just sitting there, and they're the receivers.
Yeah.
Take a traditional banquet, however beautiful and inspiring the surroundings might be, the formula is the same. There's someone on stage, or there's a video on stage, and it is telling you. And it's telling you how great the organization is, indirectly or directly.
Yeah. Yeah.
The savvy
I've seen
ones
both.
do it indirectly, and the more simple model is just tell you directly,
Straight up. Yeah.
we're great. And here's a few more voices, a few more for other people who will tell you how great they are. And that's fine. That's fine once in a while. And we all are sitting there at our tables, and we're having our beautiful dinner, and we're wearing our beautiful clothes, and sitting with people that we know or people that we just met,
Hmm.
and we can't talk to them because we're supposed to be politely listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's some downtime, but we don't know like if they're going to run on time, so we talk. We have small talk, and that's fine. I love it as much as the next person. But a lot of people go to galas and dinners because they like seeing people.
Hmm.
They go to galas and dinners because they want to see what their, second tier friends are up to. Maybe
Right. And
not people that they really have programmed into their phone, but people who they're kind of want to become friends with, or maybe they knew a long time ago. It's a great way to see people. But if you're stuck in the model of having to only listen to what's on stage, you're really limited in how you can interact with your fellow attendees. And I
right.
just
And
thought, if that's the strength of these things, then let's lean into that and not, spend a bunch of money on some video that's essentially an infomercial.
And to your point, anyone who's ever run an event and it's had that moment of absolute struggle getting people from the cocktail reception to their tables or from their tables to quiet down for the video, we know that what people want to do is connect and talk and be kind of in community with each other. So I love the idea of creating an event that really speaks um, to that. Um, it also seems, and you touched on this, it seems like there's some really interesting follow-up that could happen too if you're a nonprofit and you're
Absolutely,
creating this
yeah.
kind
I
of
mean,
community event.
right. When you build a community of shared purpose, I mean, they become the people in that community are your lifelong friends and advocates that you can, uh, with whom you can discuss philanthropic partnerships, which is
Yeah.
what we're all about.
Yeah.
So, I want to give a shout out to Business Ethics Alliance of Omaha, which does this model routinely at their
Oh,
events. They call it by a different name, but they're actually having interesting conversations about business ethics on stage, and then encouraging the attendees to talk amongst themselves about the ethical issues. And from
Awesome.
that, great
Yeah.
friendships are formed, and it's really a community. I also want to give a shout out to Jeffersonian dinners. Now, I haven't studied this very much, but apparently, our third president, Thomas Jefferson, designed a dinner party model where everybody sits at the table. There's a topic of the night, and everyone has to talk about what they think about the topic, and then people ask questions, and then everyone at the table goes around and answers the question, and no crosstalk is allowed. You can't ever talk to the person on the right of you. You can't talk ever to the person on the left of you. And this is an interesting dinner party model, but I think it's a little uptight. That's why I like my take on it, the anti-small talk event, where people can just talk one on one, and
Yeah.
it feels more like a cocktail party kind of thing.
I've never done a Jeffersonian dinner. I have, like you, read a little bit about them, and I had the same takeaway that it seemed like a pretty powerful model. I mean, if it's, you know, it's Jefferson, he was a pretty smart dude, but it
Yeah.
does seem like a real structured a real structured model, almost yeah, like Downton Abbey kind of like rules
Yeah,
in
that's what I
terms
think
of
of too.
who
And
you
so
can
if you're kind
speak
of
to, and yeah.
yeah, so if you're kind of a shy person and you've got 11 other people looking at you, I mean, you might not say your best thoughts, and you may not really feel like you know each person better one on one. You know
Yeah,
their public persona, their speaking persona, but you don't necessarily get to know them in the way that you can when you're talking one on one.
and the again the model that you're describing, the anti-small talk model, since everyone's been invited because of their shared buy-in around a particular or a specific cause, then at least you always know everyone in the room you've got something in common with, right? Like maybe you don't know that person really well, but you know they're in that room because they are invested in some way in the cause with you. So there's some common ground you can build a conversation out of.
Yeah. Yeah. The challenge of this event is the invitation game has got to be really strong. Um, I don't think you can just blast something out on Eventbrite. I don't think you can just blast out an email. I think you really need to Google the people in your community that have a vested interest in your mission. And you
Yeah.
need to go one layer out, two layers out, depending on how specific your mission is, and find the commonalities. So you're going to need some synthetic thinking about, well, if I only care about historical preservation in this one neighborhood, and my neighborhood's really small, but I'm still a nonprofit and I still need to raise a lot of money, how can I expand that? How can we get a representative from the mayor here? How can we get a city council person here? How about what's happening in one neighborhood over? What's happening in another town or another city? What's happening with business nearby? Um, you know,
Yeah,
the,
it's that expansive thinking. I had a similar a similar thought when it came to number of jobs ago, talking about corporate donors and how do you thank and recognize your corporate donors. And it's I'm sure other people have this idea, but I love the idea of like figuring out if your board member is in a particular industry, what blogs and magazines do people in that industry read? Maybe your thank you message about that board member or that organization's generosity is better suited in, you know, Pipe Fitters Weekly or the
yeah,
trade publication that their peers are going to see. So it's that kind of idea of like not just thinking about who you can pick up the phone and call, that, like you said, that first generation, but like that second and third order of outreach to really expand your thought. And the other thing I really like about this is I think one of the sins of nonprofits, or one of the things that nonprofits can fall into, is this kind of sense of it's almost a sense of entitlement. It's an idea that people should support you because your mission is good, and how that can manifest is in nonprofits kind of like sitting back in the industry or in the cause and just letting things kind of come to them. instead
Yeah.
of like being, as you said, like a convener and a leader and an involved member of that. Because what I'm hearing in this no this anti-small talk event model is that the nonprofit, everyone in there might not be a nonprofit, a donor to that nonprofit. But they, there might be ways the nonprofit can help them. There might be different kind of pathways of
Oh, yeah.
relationship that can be developed here. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And, and by keeping everyone talking with each other, it does take some pressure off of the nonprofit to be the answer and be the provider of all solutions and resources.
Kevin, if nonprofits tell donors that they don't know all the answers, oh my goodness, you're they're going to see the big board. It's
Yeah.
terrifying. Um,
Hey, that's what I'm saying.
yeah, no, that's a really good idea. I, I, I have colleagues who would probably say that I'm anti special events, and I do tend to say I love really thoughtful special events. What I tend to chafe against is the kind of off the shelf, galas and golf and things that or things that are a fun activity that don't have a real tie to your organization. I love
Yeah.
events like this that really seem to speak to the mission in a really specific way.
Yeah, I mean, if it's easy for you to keep doing the sandcastle building competition every year, then keep doing it. But you're putting out a message of try this first, and so
Hmm.
that's why I wanted to share this with you. Where if you're thinking about where you're how you're going to build a community of shared purpose. Um, then I would encourage something like this rather than reaching for the off the shelf thing that you've seen other organizations
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, and that community, I don't think it can be overstated about how important it is to really, I think, invest in your community as a nonprofit. Like I hesitate to say the words because it's such a cliched phrase, but I'm going to say it anyway. Here it goes. In times like these, in times like these,
Yeah,
we have
true.
seen how important it is to have your community that has your back, that knows what you're doing, that can speak up for you in ways big and small. Um, and you're not going to, it's hard to build a community if all you're doing is asking for money, right? If
Yeah,
if if that's the only message, that's hard to build a relationship off that. So how can we do better with our
yeah,
friends? Yeah.
yeah. That seems more promising than relying on systems because
Hmm.
as we know, our systems are under stress, and community is it's not that way. Community can't be targeted in the same way that systems are being targeted.
Kevin, let me ask you a question about the event. It just occurred to me. So let's say I'm a nonprofit in town and I'm a food bank.
Yeah.
I'm hearing you correctly. In this model, I'd want to invite other food banks that are in or near my community. Like it seems like
Yeah.
this would be an opportunity to kind of build those bridges between nonprofits as well.
Um, yeah, but I try to not be enchanted by partnership conversations when the situation calls for um, philanthropic conversations.
Okay. Okay, no, that's a good point. There's always a lot of talk about collaborative fundraising, and
True.
but there's always also, I mean, it's a fine line. I think collaborative fundraising is really powerful if everyone is invested in it 100%. But it's uh,
Yeah.
it's like a team, it's like a group project in high school. Like it works when everyone works, but if there's only one person that's putting up the poster board, it's a frustrating time.
Yeah, yeah. Those nonprofit only meetings. We all go to enough of those, and there's enough
Hmm.
people who are convening only nonprofits that I think that it's important to keep it as cross-sectoral as possible,
Hmm.
and maybe shoot for the 80-20 rule of if there's 50 people in the room, 40 of them have got to not be at a nonprofit. Yeah, they can be in government, they can be in business, but I would only want about 10 nonprofit people in a room of 50.
That's a good, okay, that's good, a good path there.
Don't
And I,
hate. I'll see you in the comments.
yeah, if you don't like anything you hear that you don't agree with, it's all Kevin's idea, and you can bring it
Yeah.
in directly.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And I also, again, I love the idea of having the networking being kind of the meat of the meeting, like having that. I think I shared with you that when I was at working for Habitat for Humanity, we had a breakfast fundraiser every year, and one of our challenges was like getting people up and off their seats, getting people to mingle in the room, finding little, even we did little activities or games just to get the energy level up, and it was a real difference the times when we didn't do that and people just came in and sat down and heard the speeches versus the times people came in and they had some sort of
Yeah.
community effort. It does make a
Yeah.
difference to move people around.
Yeah. Yeah. So true.
Excellent. And also, I'll point it again. Like this is a kind of an event that requires a real thoughtful invitation strategy. And I think sometimes
Yes.
nonprofits skip that step or they don't spend as much time on that step as they should because this is probably not, if you're going to try an event like this, and I encourage you to try it, this is probably not the event where you're just like, okay, we'll just invite board members, past donors, and volunteers. Like, well, no, okay, wait, no, 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 not
Yeah.
just them. Let's really think creatively about, who is in this cause with us, and yeah, who needs to be in that
Yeah,
room.
it can work with 10 people in the room. I think it's still worth it with 10 people in the room. It's probably not the greatest thing if 8 people are in the room. It probably could be a little bit more, would be a little bit more dynamic if there were at least 10. But I
Sure.
think ten is a critical mass.
Yeah,
Um, but it's probably going to require some repeated emails and repeated phone calls to get your first 10 people at the
absolutely.
thing. And then, as we all know, there, momentum grows after that.
And being really specific, like you said at the beginning, it's not just, well, I put it on Eventbrite and I put it on LinkedIn, so
Yeah.
done. Like, no, 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 you started, congratulations, but start making those calls and inviting people specifically to an event like this. That's what gets your attention, not a mass email usually.
Yeah. So in a way, you're using your meeting getting skills. What's that
Yeah,
skill? Is there a better word for that, Chris?
the skill of meeting getting.
Yeah.
Um, gosh, there's got to be, right? We can't
Yeah.
we
Appointment procurement skills.
out maybe just outreach skills, your networking skills, your outreach skills, your I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll say meeting gettings. That's fine. Until get in the comments. Tell us a better term for that. Um, excellent. Well, I love this idea. I think it's one of those examples of something that is pretty low investment to try. It doesn't require you to have rent out the ballroom at the Hilton and go big. It's can be very intimate. It can be um
Yeah.
and again, not talking about commissioning a new video or commissioning a giant
Right.
8 presentation. Like, no, this is about conversation and this is about, really reflecting on the cause and the role your nonprofit plays in it. And I think that's a good reflection. So yeah, I'd be interested to see if anyone who's watching this video can try it and circle back to us and let us know how it worked and what their results were. That would be a great story to hear. But I love it. I love it. Kevin, is there anything that you want to promote or plug, or maybe you can share a little bit about what sort of work you do over at Contributed Line Fundraising? Like what's going on?
Yeah, well, if you want to get in touch with me, check me out at contributedline.com. And this is not a book yet. The anti small talk event or the anti small talk gathering is not a book yet, but maybe someday it'll be a little 40-page book or something with a how to. So no, I'm not selling anything other than the fact that I love fundraising in the nonprofit world. I've made it my life's work, and I find it fascinating. And I want to do everything I can to elevate this profession and and help build knowledge in this world. So get in touch with me if you liked anything that you heard today.
Love it. And what kind of clients do you serve, and what kind of help do you provide them, Kevin?
I serve nonprofit organizations and occasionally for-profit organizations
Okay.
that need help with the grant application process.
Got it. Got it. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Kevin, I'm again, I love this conversation. I love this idea. I wish I would have known about it 6 years ago. I would have tried it myself. But it's great stuff. Folks, if you're watching this, please follow along. I'll include links to Kevin and his company in the show notes and whatnot. And Kevin, thanks for all you do. I think there's the nonprofit space is lucky to have you. So glad to know you, my friend.
Thank you very much, Chris.
And thanks for watching Try This First. There's more videos on the playlist, and we'll be putting out more videos when it occurs to me to do so. So if there's something you really want to hear about, send me a message. And if you want to talk about your fundraising programs with me at Resolute Philanthropy, I'd love to talk. So thanks again, and keep up the good work. Bye, everybody.